Hey guys, Sonic's here. The Pokémon franchise is full of facts and trivia, and it's a big reason why I'm still playing after all these years. Some facts have almost become legendary during our adventures through the Pokémon regions, immortalised by fans, glitch hunters, and those are just nerdy know-it-alls like me. I've been playing since Yellow's UK release date in the year 2000, and I'm the type of person who likes to know everything about everything. Wait, does that make me nosy or curious? Anyway, here are 5 random facts that I have personally wanted to share with you all today. So sit back, stop PV training, and enjoy. Number 5. In Generation 4 games, if a GBA cartridge is inserted into the DS or DS Lite's second slot, it's possible to migrate Pokémon from your Game Boy Advance game to your Generation 4 cartridge via PAL Park. There's actually a misprint in Pokémon Diamond and Pearl, however, when viewing the migrate from whatever game you have inserted into the DS. The DS actually displays Pokémon Fire Red and Leaf Green incorrectly with a space between the names. This only applies to the English games, however, and was corrected upon the release of Pokémon Platinum, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It's a small detail, but these kind of facts have always interested me. Number 4. To continue with PAL Park and migration, in Generation 4 games, when trying to migrate Pokémon from a GBA cartridge, the player must use the same language DS game as the GBA game. To put this into perspective, if I insert a Japanese Fire Red into my DS with an English Pearl version, for example, it won't recognise the dual slot mode. This has always been kind of strange to me, as Pokémon Diamond and Pearl were the first games to introduce Pokédex entries in multiple language. One exception to this case, however, is any Generation 4 game in Korean. Japan and South Korea have had a very rough history due to ongoing political issues, which resulted in a large ban on Japanese imports. Pokémon Gold and Silver were the first games released and recognised by Nintendo in South Korea, though many players reported grammatical errors and bugs. This was probably down to the difficulty of fitting the Korean alphabet on the limited capacity Game Boy cartridges. The problem continued in the Advance series, so Generation 3 never saw an official release in South Korea. Finally, in the mid-2000s, Japan and South Korea set aside their differences, lifting a merchandise ban, allowing Pokemania to ensue. As these were the first endorsed titles in the Korean language, however, any GBA cartridge will allow you to migrate Pokemon successfully, regardless of any language locking. This is actually essential for completing the National Pokédex in Generation 4 games. Number 3. This one is actually really interesting and hard to believe, but according to my sources, it is actually true. Pokemon Black and White 2 are the first main series titles which actually force the player to save before taking it on the Elite Four. Before entering the very annoying but compulsory PokéStar Studios for the first time, the player must save before continuing. This essentially means that all the generations of Pokemon up until Black and White 2 actually allow players to progress throughout the entire story without ever needing to save. I don't know who would undertake such a task, perhaps speedrunners, but this is interesting to me nonetheless. Number 2. Pre-release American box art for Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire depicted the version name below the mascot Pokemon with the same font used in Generation 1 and 2 games with the "Gotta Catch 'em all" slogan. This was dropped for the final box art, as you can see here, which features the version names directly below the Pokemon logo and in different fonts, dropping the slogan entirely. This continued throughout the series thus far, and despite it being a staple catchphrase, it doesn't look like it's returning anytime soon. With 722 confirmed Pokemon whilst editing this video, perhaps Game Freak will one day demand us to catch them all again. Number 1. Completing the National Pokédex in any game isn't an easy feat. Most games have a fixed amount of Pokemon available to capture without trading. However, with the GTS and the use of internet forums, it's much easier nowadays to catch them all than it used to be. Trainers these days don't know how easy they have it with their Wi-Fi and their wireless trading. In Generation 3 main series games, to complete the National Pokédex you need at least the following games: Pokemon Sapphire, Pokemon Emerald, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and then finally Pokemon Colosseum for the GameCube. With all these games combined, a National Complete Pokédex is possible despite the challenge. Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness aren't needed based off their exclusive Pokemon. This is without even mentioning the cables you'll need, such as the GBA to GameCube link, as well as the Game Boy Advance to Game Boy Advance link cable. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Be sure to stick around if you'd like to know more random Pokemon facts and top 10s by subscribing, clicking on this button here. If you have any video suggestions or facts you'd like to contribute, please let me know in the comment section below. Happy EV training, guys. See you next time.